All right, moment we have been waiting for. The time when it actually looks like some work is being made, some progress on the trailer. We watched before when we're laminating the boards together. That's a lot of work. It doesn't really. It just looks like the pile of wood just transforms from one shape to another. Like it doesn't really look like you're doing anything. This though is finally when it actually starts looking like something is coming together. What we're going to be doing here is putting some 3/4 inch plywood down onto the frame members here. This is a 6x10 aluminum frame, 3" by 3" tube if that matters, if you're interested. So obviously you can't buy plywood that is 6 feet by 10 feet. So I'm going to be doing 3 sheets of plywood on this. And when we seaming, I will be using the epoxy resin to seam the pieces together, and I will also be using pocket screws and biscuits. Yeah, so I'm going to I got the sheets already cut, so I'm just going to lay them out. I've also gone ahead and pre-drilled holes here where already in my design I know that when the bolts are going to come through, and they're going to be hidden by cabinetry or something. I'm going to lay the sheets of plywood down and just get them where I want them, get them straight in here with the frame, and clamp them down so that they're not going to move. Get some pocket holes drilled in them, get the slots cut for the biscuits, and see how far we can get today. All right, a couple things I just want to talk about real quick. I just kind of did it, but just using a positioning clamp here and a quick clamp, basically just to give me something to push up against here. If you're not familiar with these here, what are called positioning clamps? They're what all they do, they have little markings here. So about 4.5 inches each leg here, and they're basically designed so that you can clamp using this to keep your thing square while we're working, especially if you're by yourself in the shop. So that's important. I would highly recommend getting some of those if you don't have some, or unless you have a helper. That's pretty good too. The joints here. So I've got some marks that I've got biscuits, and these lines here in between. These are going to be for pocket screws. First, a biscuit. This is what a biscuit is. It's not a delicious treat. It's a piece of compressed wood. That's like, I'm guessing it's like a pulpy material, or if it's maybe a piece of plywood. It's actually got grain structure, so it actually could just be a piece of plywood. And then it gets compressed to this wafer thin material. Once this gets wet, it expands. So that's what actually you slide it. You cut the joint, slide in, you squeeze some glue in there. It swells, expands, and it actually helps lock your joint in a little bit. The other joint we're going to use is called pocket screws. This is just a piece of board that I had from another project that didn't come to be. But a pocket screw basically is, you use a jig, you drill a hole in a little pocket for the screw, and then it's going to poke out the other way. We're going to use those to provide the clamping force this way for the joints. And then, which then goes to material. I am going to be using epoxy in here. And one, it's very strong, durable, it's waterproof. 2, it has excellent, when you put a thicker in it, it doesn't lose its strength with a gap. Or so some glues, most glues, they work by they make contact, you squeeze them together, and then they bond. And anywhere there's a gap, they lose strength in that joint. So in this case here, we're going to use epoxy so that even it will fill that gap, no problem. It will maintain its structural integrity, and it also will help so that we can, it'll fill it so that we can sand it all pretty, and when you throw a coat of paint on there, no one will be the wiser of that, you know, this was actually 2 separate boards. So, and you can see it really bad here. Yikes. Table saw? Yeah, not, table saw is not a surgical, my particular table saw is not a surgical piece of equipment. Plus, there was a lot of warpage in this plywood, surprising amount of warpage, so it was really hard to get her, to push her and square to the fence. So, came out a little bit there, but again, this is going to be filled with epoxy, so no worries. So, got it clamped where I think it looks good. It seems to be aligned up. One thing found out that the trailer is not 100% square. Out a little bit. It's good enough. I would have liked to be bang on, because it can be sometimes a bit of a perfectionist, but that's fine. We can deal with that. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is punch the holes in for the pocket screws. And I'm debating, while I've got it clamped here where I think I like it, I might actually go underneath and drill the holes through for the bolts to hold it down. Yeah, so I'm probably going to do that first while it's clamped. Maybe throw a couple more clamps on it so that it doesn't move. And then, yeah, then drill the holes for the bolts to hold that actually holds us to the trailer. And yeah, then I'll do the pockets. The biscuits, already cut the slots for the biscuits. Had to do that quickly yesterday. We were facing another lockdown, or a more strict lockdown, and I had to quickly get those slots cut, and I needed a hand holding stuff. So unfortunately, I don't have any footage of that, but it's like looking at a saw this way, cutting into. Yeah, that's not that exciting. But anyways, that's enough of this. I'm rambling. Let's get to work. Looking at it, just measuring, checking, I'm not overly happy with the alignment. Again, listen, the trailer is out a little bit. Obviously, my cuts are out a little bit. You know, everyone's out a degree. It adds up. So what I'm going to do is just twist this whole base slightly this way, just by, you know, a degree maybe. Again, you have someone else helping in the shop, it's a lot easier, you know, 2 hands. But what I'm going to do is actually just use some feeler gauges for when you do like spark plugs. Just going to, you know, shim stock, whatever. Just basically something here. I'm going to put it into that one clamp, or against that, and that hopefully is just going to pull it out just a little bit. Hopefully not enough to make it look funny in the back, and just kind of aligns it up a little bit better. So I'm going to pop off the clamps and see what I do. If you ever find yourself pondering whether you have enough clamps or not, the answer is astounding: no, you definitely do not. You can never have enough clamps. I kind of wish I had a few more, but hey, it is what it is. And so just adding, I don't know, about 50 thou, 50, 60 thou to this side here to shift it out, has actually made a much better alignment down here. I unfortunately, right there, it's in a little bit. Will you notice it? I don't think so, not unless you're actually looking for it. But the sides, and front seem to be aligned a little bit better. So I think that's more important than the back bit, I think. It'll still probably drive me nuts, but hey, again, I'll probably be the only one that even notices it. Alright, so got the main member here bolted down, so our anchor point. I've gone ahead and pulled or moved the pocket screws, brought them out so they're about 1/8 of an inch, so you can use them as line pins. The biscuits are ready to go. I got all the epoxy out. I got brushes, I've got gloves, I've hopefully got everything I need to just go. Clamps are standing kind of around, waiting to be put in. I even have an extra set of hands, got the better 3/4 here to help me. So yeah, so this is going to be, once I start mixing the epoxy, it's just going to go fast, so won't have a lot of time to talk to the camera here. So it's going to be the same deal when we're doing the lamination. Unthickened wet out layer on the joint, on the biscuits, everything, and then thickened layer, basically mix up some a thickening agent into the epoxy, and then smear that into the joint, and hopefully it just glues together and doesn't glue itself to the trailer frame. So yeah, let's again, as usual, crank the tunes and get to work. I'm going to just let everything just set up now. Just leave it, let it cure, and in the morning, if there's still any gaps, come through and just do the same thing. Just fill the gaps, and just keep doing that until that joint is completely filled. When we actually go do the bottom side to finish that, I might have to do the same thing, is just drip some more epoxy in there just to reinforce that joint. But anyways, I ended up grabbing all my weights to try and hold that joint down. Probably blew my shoulder just carrying all those up and down the stairs, but No, it is what it is. Anyways, I'm done for today. I'm exhausted. Better 3/4 than I'm exhausted, and we're just gonna go have a drink and just celebrate this mini victory.